Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. If you are coming on live, please do me a quick favor. I want you to hit that like button. I want you to hit that share button. And I want you to tag Lolly Dolly everybody and let them know your boy Ramonepreston, my squad, and the Ramonepreston Show. We're live right here on this beautiful Friday here in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta. So welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. Please hit the like button, hit the share button, put in the comments what city you're watching me from. I love to find out where you are watching me from. I want to give a shout out to some of our viewers that are watching us from different cities. If you are watching us, please put in the comments what city you're watching us from. Shout out to Chicago, shout out to Virginia, shout out to DC. We have several cities that's been watching us. This week we've had some great interaction with so many of you. Naples, Florida, Melbourne, Australia, Sacramento, California, Anchorage, Alaska. We got people from everywhere that watch this show. So thank you so much for watching the show. Welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. Please hit the like button, hit the share button. Make sure that you tag somebody, invite them to join you to get some valuable information for your business, for your finances, for your future, for your legacy. Okay. Also, please make sure if you have already hit the like button, you've already shared the video. When I ask you to like and share and put the city that you're watching me from in the comments, of course, it's for me to get your support, but it's also for other viewers to get an opportunity to know where you're watching us from and that people actually watch this show and are getting value. I just got off the phone with a beautiful woman of God. She told me she lives in DC, and she said that she watches the show and she's gotten a lot of valuable information, and she just commended me and my team for what we're providing and producing to our community on a day-to-day basis. So thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube page, please, if you would be so kind, hit the subscribe button. I know sometimes it could be a pain in the neck. I don't know why, but some people just feel like giving away a subscription on YouTube is just very hard. It's easy to follow somebody on IG. It's easy to follow somebody on Facebook. But sometimes it's not as easy to follow somebody on YouTube. But I would ask that if you're getting value from the show, if you know the things that I share on my YouTube page, period, if these things are valuable, I'm just asking that in return, please subscribe to my YouTube page. If you're watching me from Facebook, follow me at Ramonepreston, and go to LinkedIn. We have a LinkedIn page at Ramonepreston. You can find me everywhere at Ramonepreston. So I certainly appreciate your support. I appreciate you watching the show. I appreciate you participating in the show, giving us feedback, and letting us know what city you're watching us from. Put it in the comments. All right, thank you. So welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. I'm your host, Ramonepreston. Every Monday through Friday, we show up here on this show, and my purpose is to share information with you that I know can help you properly start, properly structure, and at some point, properly scale your businesses, your ministries, your income streams. Whatever it is that you're doing, this information can be applied to that area of your life. So whether you're a W-2 employee, we have clients and students who are on fixed incomes using this information. You could be an independent contractor, a real estate agent, an insurance agent, a 1099, self-employee. You could be a minister, a business owner, a legitimate executive in a company, and you're just trying to figure out new creative ways to build a stronger infrastructure and to scale to next levels. Well, the information that I share on this show is really an extension of all the information I provide. We have a training division here at Ramonepreston Enterprises. We have a signature training program called the Millionaire Blueprint. And within that program, we have hundreds of training videos, interactive lessons, documents, and forms teaching you about starting and structuring holding companies, how to file and form your paperwork for those holding companies. We teach you how to run the day-to-day operations of your holding company. And we give you all the information for what you need to know with regard to holding companies. We teach you information on creative tax strategies. We show you how to literally minimize your tax liability, maximize your deductions through different trainings and different teachings that we do. We teach you on income categories. We teach you on the ABCs of financial literacy. We lean heavy on teaching you about accounting, at least the basic principles of accounting when it comes to your personal finances and your business. We have real estate investing courses to give you some understanding of how real estate investing works within your wealth building infrastructure. We have courses on sales and marketing and financial systems and operational systems. We want you to have an entire comprehensive understanding of what it is to literally start, structure, and scale a business operation. We have a coaching program. Our coaching division provides a one-year coaching program, and that coaching program that we have offers you an opportunity to work with my team and I for an entire year. We give you access to our training. We give you access to one-on-one coaching sessions. We give you access to our weekly coaching calls, to our quarterly workshops that we dig into the nuts and bolts of a lot of these concepts and principles, and we have other services and other programs as well. So I just want you to know that I'm validating what I share with you on this show. It's not just me Googling information and copying and pasting somebody else's content and then I'm coming on here acting like I'm the next great internet guru. No, what I teach is what I live in my personal life and is what I live in my professional business life. So you can rest assured, I know what I'm giving you, and I know it works because it works for me. It's working for so many students, so many clients. All you have to do is Google Ramonepreston Enterprises. Google Ramonepreston, and you should find Google reviews and information to show you that, hey, the man is legit. What he's giving us is actually something he's living. So I want to say thank all of you for being a part of the show today. And today I really want to somewhat follow up from yesterday. We had a Q&A yesterday where I answered a few common questions. A couple of the questions were critical because I had a few people criticizing me based on a few posts or a few videos or some content that they may have saw, and they felt like they disagreed or just questioned what I was saying in one of my videos. And I encourage that. I accept that. Bring it on. Because when you challenge me or when you bring me to the carpet and you try to figure out if what I'm saying is legit, hey, if it is, it is. If it ain't, it ain't. And I'm willing to be corrected. But when I'm correct, I'm going to come back. I ain't gonna clap back as hard as I could, but I'm going to come back and let you know what I know so that you can see that you need to do some due diligence. So yesterday we had a great Q&A show, and today I really want to do more Q&A, but it's really going to be based on holding company questions and answers. So if you have a question about holding companies, I mean really if you got a question about anything, all you have to do is put the question in the comment. My team is always lurking, and we'll be more than happy to answer those questions. So today's show is really centered around holding company questions and answers. So the first question that I want to answer, which again, I pull some of the most common questions. So when I get a lot of questions, I just pull the common questions and I try my best to answer them. And if I don't answer a question that you might have, you can drop the question in the comments. You can call in and we'll take your question over the phone. You can literally reach out to me at any point and we'll be more than happy to give you as much information as we can. And we have courses and programs with all this information in it as well. So question number one on the holding company. How is a holding company used? How is a holding company used? This is the first question that I want to answer. How is a holding company used? This is a powerful question because a lot of people who hear about holding companies, they want to start a holding company because when they start hearing about it and learning about it, you realize that this is a powerful concept. It's something that you should be utilizing within your business structure, but you don't always know how this holding company is used. Well, holding companies are used by businesses of all sizes and in all industries. Number one, many of the best known publicly traded corporations are actually holding companies, and many of the people buying their stock, this is something that you might need to think about. Many people that buy the stocks of a lot of these publicly traded holding companies don't even know and realize that they're investing in a holding company, not necessarily in an operating company. Like, here are some of the most popular holding companies that you might know about. Berkshire Hathaway, that's a holding company. That's Warren Buffett's company. Alphabet, which is actually the company that owns Google and YouTube. Johnson & Johnson is a holding company. Prudential Financial, MetLife Insurance, JP Morgan, Bank of America, Walton Enterprises, that's Sam Walton's holding company that his family runs. This holding company owns a lot of the shares of Sam's Club and Walmart. Wells Fargo is a holding company. Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Charles Schwab, Apple is a holding company. Citigroup is a holding company. So it's very important for you to know that these are holding companies. And how is a holding company used? Well, of course, a holding company is used to hold. The key word is hold assets. It holds assets. A holding company holds ownership interests in other businesses. So this is the common holding for a holding company, which is ownership interest, because the goal for you, even as a small business owner, when you have a company, when you have a business that you want to start, or when you are running a business, the goal when you're using this type of concept, this type of infrastructure, the goal is for you to take your operating business and either transfer the ownership to the holding company, or to start a holding company and make sure that when you start an operating business that you make the holding company the owner, because all that does is just give your holding company more power to use when it's time to do other things, like maybe get loans or have more asset value, or to increase the overall net worth of your other companies that are owned by your holding company. So ownership interests in other companies. It may not even be another operating entity that you are running. It may be another company that needs you to invest in it. Well, you can use your holding company to own ownership interests in other businesses that people sell you shares in. You know, you may know somebody who owns a business and you got some extra money that you want to invest. You've done your due diligence on that business and they're willing to sell you maybe half of the ownership or 20% of the ownership, kind of like what you see on Shark Tank. Well, you let your holding company purchase those ownership interests and own them, and you become a part owner, or your holding company does, and that gives your holding company more value. Well, when you purchase real estate, when you invest in real estate, you have a holding company. You have a investment company in your holding company that goes out and make investments. And when you own real estate that's owned by LLCs, those LLCs are owned by your holding company. So those are assets. There are so many other assets. Patents are assets. Trademarks are assets that you could get royalties from and licensing from. Equipment can be assets. Copyrights can be assets. If you have certain formulas or certain processes, recipes, things that you have come up with, it's called IP, like intellectual property. Well, you can make sure that all of those assets are owned by your holding company. So this is how a holding company can be used. Another common way, and this is what I teach to a lot of my clients who are coaches themselves and educators, and they're getting into the educational space and training space. I encourage them to use their holding company to hold the operation of their consulting, or the operation of their coaching, or the divisions of their coaching and consulting and training. So my holding company owns and controls the operation of my consulting and my coaching and my training. So my coaching program that I talked about earlier, our Millionaire Mentorship program, that's what we call it. It's owned and controlled by my holding company. My consulting division, what my wife and I do as business and real estate consultants, it's owned by our holding company. Ramonepreston University, which is our training platform that houses our School of Ministry, our School of Profits. It houses our Millionaire Blueprint, our Business Incubator, our licensing program. All of these assets are owned by a holding company, and that's how we use the holding company. So again, if you don't have a holding company, all right, I encourage you to start one. Yeah, I encourage you to start a holding company, and not just start one, but learn how to actually run it. Learn how to actually run it. Like, I have an entire program just teaching you how to start and structure a holding company, how to run it. It's a program. It's a whole program that literally gives you everything you need to know about running a holding company. And that's just one single program among many programs. So if you want to learn about that and you need information on it, be sure to reach out to me today. At the end, I'll give you a number that you can call or text, and we'll love to give you access to just that holding company course and startup kit if that's what you need. So the question, how is a holding company used? I just answered it, all right? I'll ask you another question. I'll answer another question because I get this a lot too. And again, I've probably got 30 questions just in my phone that I try to write down and put in my notes every time somebody asks me a question about holding companies, which, by the way, when I get questions like this, I always go back and I put them in our courses and in our programs. So what we do a lot of times is when we get new questions, we'll get 10 or 20 new questions, and it'll be some nuance that we hadn't really addressed publicly. Of course, I come on the show, I'll share it like I'm sharing it with you, but then we make sure that we tape it, put it in video form, and we put it on our university training platform. So for you, if you become a member or if you are a member of any of our training and coaching programs, you automatically have access to all this information in secure video-based form on our platform that you might not find on YouTube. I get a lot of people who tell me, I watch your YouTube videos. They're very, very valuable, and I learn a lot, but it's not until they get access to my online program that they realize, oh wow, it's more information on here. So, I mean, everybody's giving information on YouTube, but there's a lot of information that you don't even get and you don't even see until you get access to the platform. So another common question that we get, or I get, is what are some of the common documents that might be needed, or forms that might be needed for your holding company? Okay, so the first document or form that you're going to need is your operating agreement. It's your operating agreement. So, for example, if you go start a LLC, or if you let your cousin do a LLC for you, and they got your EIN number, right? And then they filed your articles with the Secretary of State, and you got your EIN number, and now you got your articles of organization, you could take those two documents and go to the bank and open up a bank account. But that doesn't mean you have an operating agreement. Your operating agreement is actually the agreement that you're going to have to spell out and to specify what this LLC is going to be doing. What are the do's and don'ts? What are the main things that make up this LLC? This operating agreement, some people don't think it's important, but it's very, very important. And so I provide this, all these documents that I'm talking about right now, we give them to you for free. We have them on there. You can download them and use them and repurpose them and print them out. You have them for life, okay? But an operating agreement is going to be very important. So, for example, when you start your holding company, you're going to need an operating agreement between you and your holding company. Okay? There's going to be an operating agreement that's needed right here between you and your holding company, because this operating agreement is going to spell out that you are the owner of the holding company, or you and your spouse, and what this LLC is actually designed to do. So it's going to be a single member LLC or a multi-member LLC. And the operating agreement is going to explain what this LLC is designed for. And the purpose of it, in this case, will be the holding company. So when you start an operating company, which will be other LLCs, you're going to need an operating agreement between the holding company and the operating company, because you're the owner of the holding company. The holding company is the owner of the operating company. So you're going to need another operating agreement. And every time you start another LLC that will be owned by this company, you want to draft the operating agreement. That's why you want to make sure you have one that you can just use and repurpose over and over again. So again, your operating agreement is your first agreement that is definitely critical. Operating agreement is critical to any LLC that you have. Okay, you don't need an operating agreement if you got an incorporation like a S Corp or C Corp or a nonprofit. But with an LLC as a holding company, you're going to need an operating agreement. Here are some other documents that are common that you would want to have in your library. An asset transfer agreement. Okay, and a lot of times I tell my clients, when you have these agreements, a lot of times these agreements are just papers and documents and forms that you have in your own back office, because you want to make sure you have a paper trail for the transactions and for the activities within your business. Okay, you just don't want to do all these things and then you don't have no way to track and trace what you did. So let's say, for example, if you have some asset that you want to transfer the ownership over to your holding company, but you want to legitimize it. You just want to make sure that it's a legitimate transfer. It could be a vehicle. It could be a piece of property. It could be a whole nother business. A lot of times you just want to draft that asset transfer agreement to have it, maybe to get it notarized and just put up so that you have at least a dated, excuse me, signed, notarized document specifying what you did. Now again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a legal expert. So you need to check with your legal gurus to, validate what I'm saying. I'm giving you just information and my experience that I've had working with people who understand some of these things, and I'm taking what I knew and I'm just sharing it with you so that you can have some game on it. Okay, asset transfer agreement. Another agreement is a lease agreement. So this could be for different purposes. You could have, of course, we're not talking about like a piece of real estate that you're leasing to a tenant. We're talking about, let's say, if it's a piece of real estate or a piece of equipment that your holding company is leasing to another operating entity that you own. That lease agreement will work in between that type of transaction, okay? Not necessarily you having a car and you leasing it to a customer, or you got a house or a trailer and you leasing it to a tenant. Those are different agreements you're gonna have that are like personal between or separate between you and the customer or the tenant. We're talking about a lease agreement that if there's certain equipment or certain assets that you as a holding company own and you want another entity to use it, but you don't want the other entity to own it, you just want them to use it, you're gonna use a lease agreement. Another agreement is a licensing agreement. Now I can talk about again, one of the reasons why I can talk about these types of agreements because I've paid lawyers to draft a lot of these agreements. Okay, even in real estate, my wife, she's a licensed real estate agent, so real estate is easy. But some of these other agreements, you're gonna get a lawyer to draft it, and you want to make sure the language is right. So that's why you want to consult an attorney or somebody who specializes in that to make sure whatever the transaction is that you're doing. But again, sometimes these transactions can be just between you and a company that you own, or your holding company and 2 or 3 other companies that you have under there. And so sometimes when it doesn't involve other people, it's not volatile. It's not a lot going on. So you can kind of, repurpose some of the documents that you get. But a license agreement is very, very critical. One of the reasons why I have a license agreement is because a licensing agreement is because I have a licensing program. So I provide like a business in a box to people. Like you can literally purchase my licensing program and you become a licensee. And with that agreement, you're able to use my content, my curriculum. You're able to take any information that I have and monetize it and sell it. You can host your own events based on my curriculum. You can sell your own courses using my curriculum. You can actually sell my digital programs and monetize it. But you're going to do that through a licensing agreement. And again, when you build enough curriculum and have enough content and information and programs and products that you can actually provide to others, then you do the same. Maybe you're an independent artist and you have copyrights, you got music, you got you got intellectual property that you can license. Maybe you're a cook and you got recipes that you can actually license. Well, you're gonna need that type of agreement, right? Okay, and then we have a service agreement. We have a service agreement. Now, the service agreement is really a part of a unique concept that I teach to my students and clients, because I teach this concept showing my students and clients how to take their holding company and use it as their mountaintop company, meaning that they're going to stand on the top of this mountain and they're going to use their holding company here to be the mountaintop entity, and then they're going to build their whole business out under that holding company, similar to like a sales funnel, a marketing funnel, so that they can properly position themselves in the marketplace. When you do that, most likely the services that you provide at the top up here are going to be like coaching services, educational services, consulting services. And when you do that, you're going to need these types of agreements so that when your clients and students are using your intellectual assets, your curriculum, and they're participating in your programs, there's some type of agreement between you and them that spells out the terms of that service. So those are just some of the common agreements that when you do start your holding company, you're definitely going to want to have in your library, which again, just in my one holding company course alone, I give you all of those courses for free. Matter of fact, if you are interested in just that course, or maybe you would like my entire Millionaire Blueprint, I'll just show you right here where all these courses are. Feel free at any point. Let me see here. Can I pull it up? You could go to Ramonepreston.com just so that I can show you where exactly is all this information. So let me go to my main website we're going to click on training. And I just want to show you everything that I just talked to you about. The holding company, starting it, structuring it, running the day-to-day operations. You know, I don't want you to just start a holding company. I talk to a lot of people who they tell me, oh, I got an LLC, I got a holding company, or I got an LLC, but I want to start a holding company and I need to know how to rearrange it, but they're not educated on how to actually do it and how to run it so that you could be successful in it. You don't just want some LLC paperwork filed with the Secretary of State and you can't do nothing with it because you don't know what to do, all right? So here, this is my Millionaire Blueprint, by the way. This is my signature training program. We have hundreds of courses, lessons, dozens and dozens of video-based curriculum on here, but this is my holding company course right here. This is just one of the many courses. I just want to show you, like you can literally go to this program, you can go to the Millionaire Blueprint, and you can literally go to the holding company course. You can open up the modules and you can look and see what kind of modules are in here. What exactly am I teaching in here? And what are you actually learning? But you see all this information I have right here, the 5 common documents for a holding company. So you literally have the PDF version of what I just told you. There's a asset purchase agreement. There's an equipment lease agreement. There's a residential lease agreement. There's a loan agreement. There's a LLC operating agreement. There's a consulting agreement. We even have a link that you can use for any other agreements that you need. Just that alone is valuable. And here's a do-it-yourself startup kit. So I literally have walkthrough videos, tutorials to show you how to obtain your EIN number and what wording you need to use to specify that this LLC that you're obtaining an EIN for is actually a holding company. Because the IRS don't have a category for you to specify it's a holding company. Most Secretary of State portals, when you file for your LLC paperwork, they don't have a NAICS code saying it's a holding company. Some states do, but some states don't. So you want to know what you need to put in there. So we provide all that for you right there. And again, if you want access to that course and this program, just text the word millionaire to 404-478-7213. Here's what happens. Here's what happens a lot of times. A lot of times we have people like you who purchase my Millionaire Blueprint and really just purchase it just to learn about the holding company. But once they get access to the blueprint, they realize that there's more information in that program to help them learn other things. That's why I always encourage you to take a look at all the courses in that Millionaire Blueprint before you just decide to buy a single program. Because what happens is I have a whole financial literacy program in that Millionaire Blueprint, teaching you about the ABCs of financial literacy, teaching you creative cash flow strategies, teaching you about the income ladder of success and how to think like a millionaire and how to position yourself financially to become a millionaire. I have a whole course teaching you creative tax strategies, showing you like details on how do you actually minimize your tax liability. I share with you probably 100 different business deductions and tax write-offs that you can use. Now, of course, this has to be validated with your tax person, but what you're gonna learn, if you haven't already learned, if you have a CPA, you're expecting them to do stuff that they don't do, and you like, why y'all ain't tell me this, or why y'all ain't do this? Because you didn't get educated on how to run your own business from an accounting perspective. You didn't learn the things you needed to learn to know how to track and trace and forecast financially yourself. These are things that you have to learn yourself as a business owner that the professional is not going to teach you. They're going to make sure what you're doing is actually legal and right and correct and compliant, but you got to be able to do it. You can't just go to them once a year and think that they're going to fix all your problems. So anyway, if you want access to that, just text the word millionaire to 404-478-7213. So what do you think so far? Did I give you some good information just on those 2 questions that I've answered? I would love to get some feedback from you. Just put in the comments what you've heard and what you've learned so far from those 2 questions. So first question was, excuse me, how is a holding company used? The second question was on the most common documents you need for a holding company. Here's some other common questions that I get. Can a holding company own a nonprofit? No, not that I know of. A holding company can't own a nonprofit. But again, if you're like me and you own a holding company and you also want or either own or run a nonprofit, there's a way that you can position yourself so that you're not creating mixed messages in the marketplace. Okay? So that's something that you got to learn. I teach these concepts not just in my training program, but I teach it in my coaching program. You gotta learn how to, this is what you gotta learn how to do. So let's say if you have a nonprofit, and you have a for-profit. So you have to learn how to create like this Mount Rushmore, this mountain up here, and you have to learn how to sit at the top and almost become a conductor of a train that has 2 tracks. So that's the track for nonprofit and that's the track for profit. And you've got to learn how to position yourself and market yourself in a way that you're not confusing yourself. I work with a lot of people who do like I do, because I'm a minister, so I have a nonprofit. I have a church charter, okay? I have a church. I have nonprofit organization, 501c3. I have school of ministry, got School of Prophets. I have Ramonepreston Ministries. I have leadership academies. Like I got outreach ministries. I got prison ministries, nursing home ministries. Like we got all kind of ministries under here, more than I can name right now. And then over here we got business. But you're not confused because you're being introduced to me. So I'm the conductor. So I'm standing right here in the middle. I'm trying to put myself in the middle of the camera. I'm standing right here in the middle, and I'm deciding where you go. Do you go to nonprofit? Do you go to for-profit rather? Do you go to nonprofit? I'm making that determination and that decision because I'm creating a brand awareness with me, with RP. And then I conduct the traffic. So that's how you build it, because this is going to have to be a separate entity. You can't have this entity owned by this entity. And that's where a lot of the confusion comes in at, because structuring it, filing and forming the paperwork is one thing. That's all back office. But when it comes to marketing and positioning yourself for marketing, for branding, for awareness, you got to have it so that you can be the brand ambassador. And if you have a nonprofit and for-profit, you conduct the traffic. You manage that, not some marketplace that does it. Okay, so that's the answer to that question. Another question: why do you consider owning a holding company a form of asset management? So I got that question. Why do you consider a holding company a form of asset management? Because see, I consider owning a holding company a form of asset management. Well, because a holding company is an asset manager. So if you're here and you have a holding company here, okay, this is your holding company, And then your holding company owns an operating entity here, and then it owns another operating entity here, and then it owns a real estate investment company here, and this real estate company owns properties here. And then you have a whole licensing division where you have royalties and rights and other stocks and bonds. Let's just say, for example, this is some type of investment company for stocks and bonds or royalties or whatever. Well, all of these are assets. Your holding company is managing these assets, because if something is going on in any of these entities, the manager / owner has to control the narrative of it. When money is coming in and out of all these entities, who is pulling the strings? The holding company is deciding where money is being reallocated. Where is it being distributed? How do we minimize taxes over here, maximize profits over here? All that's happening up here for all these companies. This company is not controlling the narrative of that company. This company is not controlling the narrative of that company. This company decides what comes in and out and flows in this whole ecosystem. So in essence, the holding company is the asset manager, but in reality, you are the asset manager. So you actually have to develop yourself and think like an asset manager so that you can actually build your asset, which is your holding company. Even if you're not running these operating entities. Most small business owners are running these entities as well as this, but as you continue to grow, you build a staff, you build a team, and at some point you start exiting these roles because you're becoming better and better at it as long as you're making money while you're doing it. So that's why I consider a holding company to be a form of asset management. So please give me some feedback on what you think. What was your biggest takeaway so far? I would love to know, like, what is your biggest takeaway so far? You know, I'd be throwing a lot of information out here, so I would love to know what your biggest takeaway is, and if you're learning something about holding companies. I got a couple other questions I'm gonna cover before we go. Okay. That was pretty good. So next question. Should W-2 employees and 1099 contractors own a holding company? So that's the question. So if you're a W-2 employee and or if you're a 1099 independent contractor, should you own a holding company? Yeah. Yeah. Now, number one, you want to make sure if you're a W-2 employee or a 1099 and you're working for somebody, you want to make sure, number one, that there's no conflict of interest. So that means, for example, if you're working for a marketer and now you're trying to start a marketing company on the side, you're going to have a conflict of interest. You need to just quit and go full time. If you're working for, you know, somebody and you starting a company on the side, there's a thin line between you being legitimate and you being shady. Okay, so let's make it clear. But if you're working a W-2 job and there's no conflict of interest, and you know that you have things that you can run your transactions in your business through, or you have things, transactions and activities that are going on that are business related that you can run through a legitimate business for the purpose of lowering your tax bill and maximizing potential profits, then it is an ideal thing to do as a W-2. But if you're like an independent contractor, you're a network marketer. I'm talking about like the network marketer. If you're 1099, you're the real estate agent. You're a real estate agent. You're the insurance agent. Insurance. Wow, I messed that word up. You're the insurance agent. You're the MLM. You're the affiliate marketer. If you're in the middle like that, you're self-employed. You know, you're self-employed and you're doing your own thing on the side. It's best for you to package whatever it is that you're doing with a legitimate business. Because you got to get legitimate. You got to get legitimate. You're not going to build a successful business if you're an independent contractor, if you're self-employed, if you're just in the middle, 1099 in it. Now, again, some people may tell you, hey, it ain't really no big difference. Well, that's just depending on how you see it. But if you want to be a business owner and be successful, you need to learn how to start a legitimate business. You need to learn how to structure that business legitimately. You need to learn how to build the right systems and processes so you can have a company, not just some gig on the side. At some point, you got to get past the gigging. You got to get into the real thing. And that's why I encourage that, okay? Here's my last question for the day before we go. My last question is, why aren't more people using a holding company as a business strategy? Why aren't more people using that? Why aren't more people using it? I don't know. It could be a lot of reasons. Number one, a lot of people can't find the information. Like, it took me years to figure out the stuff that I make easy for people today. Like, you can literally get access to my course and learn everything in a couple days that it took me years to figure out. The information is not that available. I mean, I can't even tell you the number of people that I've talked to that have told me, wow, it wasn't until I started watching your videos on YouTube that I even understood this, that it even made sense. And I've had people to tell me that they've listened to other people who have given some information on it. There are different people that I know. I've got competition. I've got competitors out there that do some of the similar things that I do. But I've even had people to tell me, whether they were lying or not, but I've had people tell me they're not going as in depth as you are, or at least not on the surface. Maybe after you pay a certain amount of money, maybe they give it to you. But, you know, I share a lot of the information I share on this platform because, number one, I want to do business with way more people than just a few people. I have a goal, I have a mission, I have a vision, I have an assignment for life. And so a part of my assignment, remember I told you I have a church controlled charter as well. So I'm a minister, I'm a man of God. A part of my business is really ministry and service to help our people get educated and to get trained and to get developed. And I think especially many of us, particularly in the black community and maybe some other communities, but I'm a black man, okay? So I can speak on my community. We black people, especially black people of faith, we have so many things that we overlook or we just don't put ourselves in a position for. Like, I come from the hood, and as a black kid growing up in the hood, there's a lot of stuff I never had access to. I mean, you know, when you grew up like I grew up, you never really even went 30, 40 miles away. More like going out of the country or traveling and having all these different experiences. And I'm a 70s baby, so we didn't have the internet or none of that. I'm just sharing this with you to show you that, you know, we were depleted and probably robbed of a lot of opportunities, just to be honest. And so it's a lot of things that I just didn't know. And a lot of the people around me didn't know. And just in my neighborhood, we probably had maybe 8 or 9 churches just in my little small community. My little small community, there was only like 4 ways in and 4 ways out of my community. Okay. You either came down one of those 1, 2, 3, 4 roads to come in my community. And if anything went down, you better know how to come out of one of those 4 and hope that ain't nobody got none of those roads blocked off. That's how we grew up, right? That's the kind of community we were raised in. But my point in bringing it up is we didn't have a lot of access to information, so we had like 8 or 9 churches, and so people in the church they didn't really have a lot of information about business and finances and wealth. I mean, to my knowledge, they didn't know a whole lot about it. You might have had a couple people that might have had businesses that might have been doing okay, but it ain't like they were like massively successful. We talk about people like that. We call them hood rich. They might have been hood rich where, okay, they might be making a couple $100,000 or something. I don't know, maybe $1 million, maybe a couple million, but it ain't like they were massively successful. Massively successful. We're talking about massive success. We really didn't see that. We might have saw that on the other side of the tracks when you went to the rich neighborhoods where all the poor people worked, but we never saw that. And so this is why I share a lot of the information with you. So if this information is valuable and you know you would like to have access to that program, or maybe you just have some questions about what you need to do moving forward. You might have a LLC that's already started, and now that you know you need a holding company, you might just be wondering, like, what do I need to do? Do I need to end this one, like close it and start a new holding company and then a new one? Well, we can answer those questions for you. We have the resources, we have the solutions, we have the services to answer those questions for you. And again, even if you're not ready to hire me as a consultant, or maybe you're not ready for a coaching program that's extensive as the one that I provide, maybe just having access to the information about holding companies and starting to educate yourself and learn could be very helpful for you. So if that's the case, in which it may be the case, just text Millionaire to that number and we'll reach out to you. Once you text Millionaire to that number, I'm gonna reach back out to you, my team. We're gonna ask you a few questions to help identify with where you are, what you wanna do, and we can direct you to what the next steps that you need to take, okay? So thank you all for watching the show, for joining me today. Today is Friday, and I'm excited. We have an amazing weekend that's coming up. We have a lot of great things that are going on. If you're interested in being a part of any of the programs and events that we have going on, feel free to just reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to give you the information on them. So again, I want you to text Millionaire to 404-478-7213. That's what you should be doing right now. Do you want to be a millionaire? Do you believe you got what it takes to be a millionaire? Well, if you got what it takes, and if the only thing is missing is information, is the right tools and resources to show you how to get there, then you just need to text Millionaire. So you're not lacking information, you're lacking the commitment to text Millionaire to that number. So thank you so much for joining the show. I'll see you Monday, same place, same time, right here, 12 o'clock noon Eastern, on the Ramonepreston Show. Be sure to leave a comment, leave a comment, leave a comment, leave a comment. Leave some feedback in the comments. Put what city you're watching me from. And please subscribe to my YouTube.